Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing the team that I gained around 150 ELO with, going from 2,300 ELO at Ace ranking to right under Veteran rank at 2,450 ELO. I will go over the team's overview and strategy and show you how to play the most common leads. There will also be a set of battles. Before I get into the video, I just want to say that this YouTube's channel Discord server is open and available. In this server, you will find resources for almost every Go Battle League, including meta-analysis, strong teams, and how to play them with articles and slides, and early content. And there is a Prismatic Cup tournament that is being hosted, and there is still time to join. Anyways, I'll start with the video. Perrserker is a pure steel type, giving it 11 resistances and only taking super effective damage from fire, ground, and fighting. Perrserker boasts wins against most fairy, ice, ghost, flying, steel, rock, psychic, dragon, poison, grass, and bug types. However, none of its moves are stab, and it is quite glassy. Clefable protects Perrserker from its fighting type weakness quite well. Does neutral from ground, but does not protect Perrserker from its fire type weakness. It's on the bulkier side for a charm user, so it can dish out a lot of fast move pressure and damage with charm. Drifblim is an amazing safe swap, being able to hit neutral or super effective to every Pokemon in this meta, and has pretty reasonable bulk and a pretty high attack. It can hit very hard with Shadow Ball, and make itself bulkier by debuffing the attack of the opposite Pokemon using Icy Wind. Perrserker's main goal in this team is to get rid of shields in the lead and take out the steel type. With 2 shields and no steel type, clefable can sweep many backlines with charm damage alone. Shields down, Drifblim with an energy advantage can deal massive damage as long as there isn't a Bastiodon or normal type. And even then, Shadow Ball or Icy Wind can wear down your opponent. Against Alolan Ninetales, stay in, stack 2 close combats, and throw them back to back. If you see a Metacham lead, swap to Drifblim. Scrafty is one of the hardest leads. The best way to play it out is to throw a close combat and dip into Drifblim. At the Scrafty's health, even if it shielded the close combat from Perrserker, Drifblim barely wins. Cresselia lead, stay in and match shields. For Whiscash lead, swap immediately into Drifblim. For Politoed lead, I like to throw a close combat, then dip into Drifblim. Most Politoads overfarm a bunch of energy, so I'm comfortable in doing that, but the less risky play is just to switch into Drifblim immediately. Pelipper lead is a little tricky, but easy to play once you know what to do. In the zero shield scenario, throw a foul play and swap into Drifblim. If the Pelipper shields one of your moves, stay in, shield in kind, and throw off another foul play. Bastiodon lead is amazing. Stay in. You could go for close combat after doubling up, but you will have to shield the flamethrower. And I don't want to be in a situation where my opponent swaps out and I have to swap out in a shield deficit, making it easier for my opponent to regain switch advantage. What I like to do instead is to throw close combat right before the Bastiodon gets to flamethrower. If they shield, I shield in kind and double up on close combats, throwing them back to back. Jellicent lead, stay in and match shields. If you shield a Bubble Beam, throw the next foul play and swap into clefable. If not, and the shielded move is a Shadow Ball, or you called the bait of a Bubble Beam, stay in and match shields. Altaria lead is pretty common. Stay in. If my opponent shields the second foul play, swap to Drifblim, saving the Perrserker since a lot of Altaria have Registeel in the back, protecting the Altaria from Bastiodon. If you come across a Registeel lead, stay in, shield the first Focus Blast, stack and throw 2 close combats. If the Registeel shields one close combat and survives the next, swap to Drifblim immediately. You might actually catch a Focus Blast. Other fighting types on the lead means a swap to Drifblim. For Wigglytuff and Alolan Ninetales lead, stack 2 close combats and throw them back to back. For Clefable and Whimsicott lead, spam Foul Play. Most of the damage will be dealt through Shadow Claw. In the first match, my opponent leads a Toxicroak. Toxicroak being a fighting type is bad for Perrserker, so I immediately swap to my Drifblim. My opponent swaps into a Altaria as a response to my Drifblim, which actually isn't a great response to Drifblim. So I'm thinking that their whole team is weak to my Drifblim. So what I'm going to do is double shield my Drifblim and completely take out this Altaria and hopefully whatever's in the back as well, or at least deal some damage. So my opponent shields the first 2 Icy Winds, and I'm going to shield their second Sky Attack as well. And I go for this Icy Wind, and the Altaria survives at barely any HP. My opponent swaps into their Toxicroak to try to get a head start on energy, but I'm able to reach Shadow Ball before the Toxicroak gets to a move. And Shadow Ball takes out the Toxicroak, dealing massive damage. And then Defense Deoxys comes in, and I'm able to get to the Shadow Ball before the Deoxys gets to a move. Boom! Shadow Ball takes out the Deoxys, nearly one-shotting it, and my opponent resigns. In the second match, my opponent leads Jellicent. So this is a slightly winning matchup for Perrserker, and my opponent actually went straight for the Bubble Beam, so I know not to shield here. They wanted to lower my attack before I got to a super effective move. And even though I'm dealing super effective on both my charge and fast moves, it's actually a pretty close match just because of how tanky Jellicent is. So my opponent goes for a second Bubble Beam, and by now my attack is pretty low, so this Foul Play will not take out the Jellicent. And they get to another Bubble Beam, and I'm going to shield to farm down this Jellicent. I have a move stored. They come in with a Medicham, and I'm going to immediately swap into my Drifblim. And they stay in for a little bit, and they soften up my Drifblim with a Ice Punch from the Medicham. And then they respond with an Alolan Ninetales. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball here, no Icy Wind baits or anything like that. And it lands and does a lot of damage. And so my opponent is able to farm me down, however. So I'm going to try to stop the Alolan Ninetales from using any of that energy by using the energy I preserved on my Perrserker and throwing it on the Alolan Ninetales. And my opponent lets it go, and when I bring my Clefable onto their Medicham, my opponent resigns. Good game. In the third match here, my opponent leads a Shadow Hitmonchan. Absolutely horrible, so I immediately swap into my Drifblim. And I'm met with a Bastiodon, so this is like hard counter city right now. However, Drifblim can reach 2 Shadow Balls against the Bastiodon if the Bastiodon tries to farm the Drifblim all the way down. But my opponent actually does not decide to completely farm me down, and they throw the Stone Edge. So I have to ring in my Perrserker here. I need to save the Clefable for the Hitmonchan and whatever's in the back. And I'm over farming just the perfect amount, counting my opponent's fast moves. And I throw the Close Combat. This takes out the Bastiodon, and when the Hitmonchan comes in, I immediately swap into Clefable, and then there's a Roserade in the back. So this is a losing matchup for Clefable, but however, since I have 2 shields, I can just power through and double shield my Clefable and farm down the Roserade. However, this was actually a mistake because I wasn't keeping track of the Hitmonchan's energy, and it had a move, which would be enough to later take out my Clefable. What I should have done is gotten the shield and stopped attacking here, so I could farm down the Roserade with my Perrserker. That way, I would have 2 close combats ready to throw in the Hitmonchan, one to grab the shield my my clefable is not able to take out the Shadow Hitmonchan with charm damage, and the Hitmonchan just barely lives to get off a charge move onto my Perrserker. Good game, and very well played. In this match, my opponent leads an Altaria. This is a pretty decent matchup, and it's actually a bit neutral because of how much damage Dragon Breath just deals. And I'm not going to shield the first charge move. However, if they shield one of my, it's a Dragon Pulse. If they shield one of my foul plays, I swap into Drifblim because I want to preserve my Perrserker, since many Altaria leads have a Registeel in the back. So my opponent does shield their Altaria, and I swap into my Drifblim, and I'm met with a Munchlax. So this is actually such a bad matchup because I can lower my the Munchlax's attack with my Drifblim's Icy Wind, and the only super effective move is the fast move Lick from the Munchlax. And all the charge moves won't deal that much damage. However, my fast move is double resisted. So the Body Slam for the Munchlax barely does anything, and I get to another Icy Wind. This does not grab the shield from the Munchlax, knowing it can survive. Before I can get to another Icy Wind, my opponent smartly throws. Now I do have a shield advantage here, so I'm pretty confident. I'm going to bring in my clefable, and my opponent immediately swaps into a Registeel. So what I need to do is get this Registeel into close combat range, because Perrserker's close combat does not one-shot the Registeel. And once I do get the Registeel into that health range, I swap into my Perrserker. I shield this move. Obviously, I can't let my clefable be matched up for too long against this Registeel. I go for a bit of a risky play, baiting with foul play, which probably wasn't necessary since the lock-on damage is only doing 1 damage. And I can throw the close combat, and that takes out the Registeel. And by now the game is pretty much a wrap because both the Altaria and the Munchlax is low. And so I can take out the Altaria, and my opponent realizes this and they surrender. In this match, my opponent leads a Roserade. So this is a actually neutral matchup. I'm dealing neutral damage to them, and they are dealing super effective with their charge moves, but resisted with their fast moves. So I'm going to try to catch a Fire Weather Ball onto my Drifblim, and it doesn't happen, and the Roserade overloads on more energy. However, the Roserade overloading on energy allows me to get a head start attack debuff on the Wigglytuff that comes in against my Drifblim. So it's looking pretty good here actually, because I'm able to get to another Icy Wind, and my opponent does shield this Icy Wind. And am I able to get to another one? I'm just able to get to another one. Drifblim holding on just barely, and actually without having to spend a shield takes back switch advantage. So now I'm looking really, really strong, and there is a Registeel in the back. So this game is pretty much a wrap. I can shield whatever move the Registeel throws and throw a close combat on onto the Registeel. My opponent tries to snipe some damage with the Roserade onto my Perrserker, but I'm able to catch it on my clefable. And I don't want to get too much farm. I don't want to give too much farm onto the Registeel, so I'm actually going to stop attacking and only take out the Roserade when my clefable is very low, so the Registeel gets minimal energy. And now this allows me to just shield whatever move the Registeel throws at me. It is the Focus Blast, and now I can throw double close combats and win the game. Good game, well played. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you in any way or you enjoyed, make sure to press the subscribe button. It helps a lot. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.